Because, man, when I started to date, after I graduated, I dated every night practically. I saw every movie that was out. But was dating, and all these guys were really, oh, yeah, I want to date you, because I didn't see it, but they did. I had developed and grown into this beautiful physical body that was really very attractive. And they took advantage of my naivety. And I didn't have sex till I was back in 21, but they took advantage of all the kissing and the hugging and the third basin we went to. And, because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be loved. And so I was very, very angry now. I realized that anger was still there from the fact that they took advantage of a naive young woman. And I was angry at the other people who made me feel that way to begin with, of being an ugly person. So all of that was imprinted upon me, and this is true of so many people. Things are imprinted upon your mind. Like I heard the story, and you give a story too, of a guy that wheezes himself, and the public sees it, and how that has touched him for the rest of his life. He became a bully, didn't he? Carl?
Wait, who are you referring to? Oh, about Tim?
You have a joke. You tell a story that happened in an altar boy who lets himself.
Yeah. What about him? I'm sorry, that just came out of the blue. That's all.
And it affected him for the rest of his life. That embarrassing situation.
Well, I guess at least until high school, for sure.
Yeah, and you talked about how he was a bully too.
Just to let people up to speed, I can tell us very briefly that when I was a little kid, an altar boy who was a year younger than me had to go bathroom in the middle of Mass, and he was starting to cry about trying to hold it in. And I was a little devious kid sometimes, and I said, "Oh, don't worry, nobody will notice if you go right now under your robes." And then it turned out if it was black robes, he would have been hidden, but it was red robes that week, and so he had this big giant circle of pee there, and he was mortified and wouldn't get up the rest of Mass to help serve. And then years later, at high school, he had grown into this Hulk. And he was a sophomore beating up a freshman, and I walked up to him and said, "Oh, got to go to the bathroom or got to wee?" And he actually started almost crying instantly, and ran away, and I never saw him hit a kid again. It was awesome.
I
like that.
You are going to ask to have God forgive you. Anyhow, Carl, I just now thought about the fact that, you're, and you need to make jokes out of this. You said that your eyes close a lot when you're talking because of this syndrome you have. That have you closing your eyes. I can imagine all the trouble you had in grade school. Did you do this in grade school?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, I remember going back into college that I had a beautiful girlfriend for a year and a half who was always going, "God, would you just look at me? Come on!" And then she finally, my parents finally were told her when they met her, and they said, "It's just the way he is. You can't do anything about it. It's not you." And then she was cool about it. But the thing I used to do.
Think of the teachers who might have misinterpreted that as somebody who was being half asleep or not paying attention.
Well, then I don't think that was happening because I didn't get called out for that. But the one thing I used to do too much of, and I have mostly eliminated it, but well into adulthood, it was saying sorry too much. You
got what too much?
Saying sorry too much, literally, reflexively.
Yeah, right.
Because I think I was probably constantly harassed by my mom as a kid, with constantly, finding everything wrong because of her condition,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so...
And I had the same thing with my mom being a heavy, overweight person. I'm pretty sure I was teased about the fact that she got a fat mama, and that I always was, trying to. That was something I had to be set free of, was that healing of the need to be set free from my angry and bitterness toward my mom because she was overweight. And guess who looks just like her right now? I've thought about that so many times, it's not even funny. Okay, back to you in this is a one-liner joke you could do. Is look at me, I'm talking to you. And you're over there with your eyes half closed.
Yeah, right.
You can put that into one of your thingies. Okay, back to what we were saying here.
Yeah.
And I did get this insight about the fact that I was still being controlled by a 17-year-old girl who believed that she was ugly, because too many times right now, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm going, oh, I'm an old 67-year-old woman. Okay, so today God gave us this word to help us to know what to do to get past and be set free of our past hurts, and going back 14 generations even, to say, Lord, heal me of that which needs to be healed and set me free from it. The scripture he gave me, and he led it right straight to it. It was 2 Chronicles 14. As soon as I asked him, he said 14, and of course I had opened already to 2 Chronicles, and it reads, oh dear, but it talks about going back to restore our lives into peace and tranquility. We have to go back and destroy and tear down the things of the past. And how do we do that? Meanwhile, I'm going to pull up that 14 Chronicle, or 2 Chronicles 14. How do we do that? How do we go back? This is what the actual reading was. Asa did what Yahweh, his God, regards as good and right. He abolished the foreign altars. All right, think about what's foreign, write that word down. And the high places, think of what's really most important in your life. Broke the pillars, think about your background and the foundation of your background. Cut down the sacred pose, think about what is like idols in your life. And urged Judah to seek Yahweh, God, and of their ancestors. See, God brings in the word ancestors here. To observe the law and commandment. And because he did this, because he abolished the high places, the incense altars to the towns of Judah, and rebuilt and the kingdom under him, and the towns of Judah and the kingdom under him was undisturbed, but he abolished the other places. He rebuilt the fortified towns of Judah, since then the country was at peace and free of war during those years, because Yahweh had granted him this peace. And then it goes on to say, let us rebuild these towns. Let us surround them with a wall. See, once you get this inner stuff rebuilt, you're going to have to surround yourself with a wall, this of faith and trust in God, and a tire with a gate and a bar. And then you will have this peace all around, because it cannot be penetrated by that negative, stinking thinking of the past. So what words did I give you again? I just closed it up. But you have to go back into your life and write down all those things that are past behaviors from the family and of ancestors. Think about them. Think about what your ancestors could have passed down and the way that they were taught to do things, and they passed them down. This is the foundation and the pillars that to be undone or broken in two, especially if it's a wrong behavior. Like look at the guy who was in trouble because he whipped his little boy with a peach switch or a little, tree switch. My mama did that to me.
Yeah,
my legs got them caught a lot.
Yeah, but that
this
guy,
is the way they were taught.
But that guy was, maybe he was subjected to that as well. I don't know, but, I'm assuming it makes sense.
I'm sure he was.
But, but he really took it very far. I don't want to get into details on your show, but it was really bad. It wasn't typical. My dad hit me with a belt like once, and it was kind of, I joke about it also in my Catholic act about the, that he told me, pull down my pants and put down his belt, and he hit me like once, like half speed, and he cried more than I did. I wound up hugging him and going, "It's okay, Dad."
Okay, so we have to think about, you need to, anybody who's listening to this show, if you want to be set free from the things of the past and the hurt, your hurts and what causes you to still act the way you act and react the way you act. It's really more of a react. When somebody triggers that past memory, you're going to come up with this hurt and feeling of this anger that you had back then. And until you have healed that area, it's still there. It's frozen there waiting to come out of there as soon as somebody triggers by saying a word that reminds you of that past, by the tone of voice even. Like in my husband's case this morning, I looked the wrong way. I had the wrong look on my face, and it triggered rejection. And it's just amazing what will trigger things of the past. A look, a word, maybe an event that's going on to remind you. That's why so many Christmases will bring up negative feelings. Because look at the family gatherings where things go wrong at a family gathering, because emotions are raw. And there's just too many people there wanting to have a perfect scenario, and it's not going to happen. And so they start to get angry when somebody says something that it's going to create a problem. You don't understand what I'm saying? I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the key thing to when you take a good long look at your past, your family's way they acted and everything, and write things down that you see that I really don't like this type of thing. I don't like the way they did things. I don't like the way I act. Write down things. And then ask God to give you an insight and a revelation as to why you feel the way you feel, especially when certain feelings start coming up. Why am I feeling this way again? Why do I hate myself? Why do I feel like I'm ugly? Why am I a compulsive eater? Everything that is negative in your life, ask God to go back to the root of that behavior and show you where it all started. And then once you receive understanding and wisdom as to about why this is there in your life, like you receive understanding, Carl, about why your mother acted the way she did, then all of a sudden with understanding comes forgiveness and love and acceptance.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are the key words here. You want understanding and wisdom as to why I do what I do, or why people hurt me the way they did. Father, show me what was the root of their behavior so I understand and I can forgive them, because this is how you can forgive so easily, so beautifully, if you have understanding. Oh, I didn't know you didn't mean to act that way, or it was, So we need that forgiveness. We absolutely, teetotally, that forgiveness is the key that opens up the door to bring peace back into your heart and deliverance from that past behavior that's controlling you still to this day. Okay? The next one, the next thing that you really need to do is know that your behavior, like in my case, there's some areas that I'm having to go, I got to be done with it. And that's slow down and eat right. These are the key things that God says you've got to be done with this, and that's to renounce it. Renounce this type of behavior. Then break it down to I renounce you cigarette, or I renounce you alcohol, or I renounce you potato chips, I renounce you. You renounce those things that is there as a weak area in your life, and if you go there, you're just going to go and then go down the mountain, a big old snowball coming down. So renounce it and cut yourself away from it as soon as you see it pop up its little head. I've got it. Nope, out of here. You can't be here. And the other things it says to name your enemies. To renounce what's not good for you, you first have to admit what is there that is not good for you. And Carl's words is contaminations. So we don't want to give the devil a foothold or a crack that he can come into and get back in there and get, he knows our trigger areas. He knows what our weak areas are. So if we give him a crack, he'll come back in there. That's why you have to build that wall, that scripture of 1 Chronicles, or did I say it was 2 Chronicles? Yeah. But anyhow, 2 Chronicles 14. Go back to that scripture, and you can see what God tells you to do to get deliverance and peace and tranquility back into your life again. First, you got to destroy and tear down the things of the past, that which you you've got false idols in your life. If you've been brainwashed by your family or by others, and the way that this is the way we do it, this is how we do it. Sometimes you have to go undo what you go, no, this, you weren't taught the right way, and now I got to undo this. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay. What the family has passed down to you may not always be what you want to carry on into your life. this is the way we raise our kids, does not necessarily mean the way you want to raise your children, right? Okay. So our final thing then,